Okay, I want to show you, first of all, this is an electric fork off a 2.0, and there is 113 millimeters distance between the fork. This is off the XPedition, and this one has 113, say, between the fork. This one here is a fork that I bought. I was going to put this on. This is 100 millimeter. Of course, I quickly went over and measured the fork on the bike, and I went, oh yeah, it's 100 millimeter. Well, it's not 100 millimeter. So this one here is truly 100 millimeters. So I said, wow, I got to get another 13 millimeters out of this. So I put a jack between it, a scissor jack, and I gave it a little pressure, and lo and behold, it split. So you can't bend these. So the only other option is to go with a 140 fork. So that's your only option on this, and I'll explain it in a minute. Doing this, when you end up with the 175 millimeter axle through, I have a washer on the inside. I have two spacers here, a spacer that was on the original front axle, and then another spacer. You may have to play with this on your own to get the tire centered, but I mean, it's all, this side is the important side with the brake. So it's not as easy as just boom the brakes on. I'm going to try to get in here enough so that you can see this. So this is the original piece that's on the wheel that is threaded. This second piece I bought on Amazon. It has threads in it that match this one. It's actually got a thread on the inside, so it screws onto a hub or something to mount the brake on. But what I ended up doing was drilling out the threads on the inside of these so I'd have a nice solid spacer to start with. There's also, in between that spacer and the rotor, there's another two washers in there. They're pretty skinny washers, but they're in there. And you have to change these bolts out and put longer ones in, obviously, because you want it to go all the way to the inside. I don't remember what the length on those were, but they look to be about 3/4 of an inch. I did buy a kit with all kinds of hardware for these. Let me quickly show you that. So for this project, I bought this kit off of Amazon. This is 5s. These are all M5s, different lengths. I also bought this kit. This is all stainless steel too, by the way. This has quite a bit in it. That, you know, buying these kits are going to help you out greatly. This little kit here also, these are all Amazon buys, and this has the black ones in it. As you can see, I use quite a few of those because everything's black on the bike. There's another kit here. That one was 6s. These are M5s. You're going to need all those. These are stainless steel washers that I bought. You're also going to end up buying a shim kit for the brakes. They sell that on Amazon also. And I'll show you on the... So you've got to buy, and I'm not even sure which one it is. I'm sure I can tell you when I link it to Amazon. So you got to get one of these to extend this out for the 180 rotor. So that's about it as far as here. But there is, no, there isn't a spacer. So this one's spacer is a little bit smaller than this one here. But like I said, I'm going to try to link this for you guys so you don't have to figure it out. I did have to put longer screws in here, obviously. This is all in you know, the proper spot and everything. It did, I did have to shim. No, I didn't. For some, it may have been another bike. I've done quite a few bikes here, so the axle that I bought, I had a hell of a time trying to find the nuts for it. So, I mean, they don't tell you what they are. It's crazy. I bought quite a few axles to get the right one, and then I had to match the nut for it, which was nuts. The fender, these fenders on this bike are actually from a X Premium. I got them from Electric. That's a long story, but I did get them from Electric. And I painted them up, put them on this bike so that I actually have 3.5-inch tires. They're 3.3s, I think. I should have put 4s on because now I can put 4 in the back, 4 in the front, but I went with the 3.3s. They were highly recommended. These are Kenda tires. They're a great tire. They're quiet, but they get knobbies on them. Well, you're not here about those. So a lot of people online, you know, geez, the thing's gonna bob up and down. You got all this weight on it. It's a cargo bike. Well, there's a lockout right here, so you can lock this thing out, and then it doesn't go up and down. So if that's an issue, you know, you can lock it out. So you don't have to go as aggressive as I did. These are 140s, 160s. You can go with a 140. I know they're out there. A friend of mine wants to do one of these, and I actually sent him the link to the 140s. That'll get them, you know, down 20 more inches, 20 more millimeters, which doesn't sound like a lot. So I did add the kickstand on the back, which is not there because I want to put the center stand down right now to show you that I did have to add on to this kickstand. These are actually sockets that I had. I think they're 14 millimeter sockets I had that I got actually at Lowe's. Got 2 of them because they were the right width to go on this. I welded them on, painted it up, and now that works fine. So the shock I will link to. I did take, I got a new bearing kit for it because the race on the bottom, trying to get it off the old shock, it's still on the one over there. I tried, couldn't do it, and luckily I had bought the race kit, and it's like $5 with bearings and the whole 9 yards. You're gonna find that these things are pretty dry when you take them apart. Same thing with the axle. I mean, they didn't put much grease in these things, so, you know, get some grease when you go to put it back together. So, you know, the shock goes, you take the other one out, shock comes up through it. You cut it off at the proper height. I did put a riser on this. It's not much of a riser. So I did cut it off at the proper height. You can just put rings on there if you want, but I didn't want the rings. I wanted to tighten this thing up. And I know one of the guys were asking, his concern, he leans forward on his bike. So, you know, all these joints here is something that's got to be tight. I feel that this is probably a lot tighter than what Electric comes with that goofy neck that they put on this thing that I really don't even know why they put it on, but it gave a little bit of adjustment, I guess. So, and I did put another riser on. I like to sit, you know, sitting straight up on the bike when I ride. So, and then I changed the bars to the BMX bars, and in my opinion, these BMX bars should have came on the bikes. That stupid long giraffe look that they have on these is, I don't know why they have them. And yes, I have a bunch of crap on my thing. I do a lot of filming, so I have a lot of stuff, and I ride the road, and that's what all that junk is. So, yeah, I guess that's about it on the fork right now. I'll go up and try to put together a video for you, but I thought I'd come down and show you on the bike where I did film a lot of this thing when I did it, but it was not great. I didn't have the lighting and the proper equipment, so it's iffy at best. So I'm going to try to take little snippets out of it and try to give you guys an idea of what you need to do here. And I guess that's about it for now. Your race down on there, your bearing down on there. You're probably going to tap your race in a little bit because it's not going to fit down the end. You put this thing in through your neck, you put your bearing on your top. There's a tool that you need here also. And it has a this little thing on it that these come off. They come in a kit. I have a whole kit of them here. And you're going to drive this down into this after you cut it. You don't have to cut it. You can put extensions on if you want. So this thing goes on here. This goes on here. You put it on, push it through. You hit this in with a hammer till you seat it. Don't seat it too far. You just make sure it's the right amount. There is a bolt that goes in here, sucks this whole thing up, and wiggle it back and forth so everything is seated in there well. Then at that point, if you want, you can cut. You need one of these things to cut it, or you could cut it without it, but this is not a lot of money, so I suggest doing it. It makes a nice cut. So you put this on where you need it, and then this goes in this side, and you cut the what you don't need off. So along with the bearings, when you're putting them in, get yourself some grease, grease them up good. Electric, there's an adequate grease on, but they don't put a lot of grease on. The other things you're going to need is torque wrenches if you want to do it right. I use this little one all the time. The specs are in your owner's manual that's available online. So once you get your fork in place, now you got to deal with your brake. And your brake, this is not the correct bracket, but it's a similar one. So there's a bracket that goes on it, and it'll bring the brake where you need it.